A very good morning to you. If you are just joining in, you're welcome. This is Good Morning Uganda on UBC TV. And if you started the show with us or along the way, still, you're welcome. And thank you so much for always choosing UBC TV. My name is Julie F. Nantaba. And as I'd earlier briefed you, let me just do it again. The Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, in partnership with local governments and Centenary Bank, informs the public that residual enrollment of targeted older persons and senior citizens grant payments for the existing beneficiaries will started yesterday and is going on through the week. That is under the SAGE program. Now, I'd earlier mentioned that we would be looking at how to secure non-violent elections 2026 with the Electoral Commission, but that has been put on hold, and right now we are looking at social protection programs for the elderly in Uganda. And to have that conversation with me in studio is Site Atkunda, who is the Communication and Advocacy Officer, SAGE program. Now, be a part of the show and the conversation, 0709-602-592. Good morning, Site. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting me.
Right. Let's start with when we talk of social protection programs for the elderly, what exactly do we mean?
Thank you. Social protection are programs or initiatives put in place by government, by individuals or partners, aimed at providing a safe space for vulnerable persons to thrive. So in social protection, first of all, government established a national social protection policy of 2015, which clearly defines what social protection is. And it highlights two pillars for social protection. Pillar one has to do with the social security for vulnerable persons, and pillar two has to do with the social care and support services.
Right.
So when we talk about the social security pillar, we are talking about programs that empower communities or empower vulnerable persons. That's where we have the direct cash transfers for vulnerable persons, but also there are other programs like the NSSF, the Public Service Pension Scheme. All those are programs that really are meant to secure, first of all, the vulnerable, but also the working people. And now we are also talking about social protection for the informal sector workers. We want to encourage them to come on board and start saving for their future. And then when we come to pillar two, where we have the social care and support services, that pillar now clearly defines the social care that we are supposed to provide to our vulnerable persons. These include older persons, persons with disabilities, children, you know, men and women, really. It's the care and support that we give them. The rehabilitation centers that we have in the country, you know, the care that we give to our parents and grandparents in our homes, that's all part of the social care and support platform, where we are really enabling the vulnerable people to thrive. Yes.
And when we still stay, you know, with vulnerable people, what programs are in place, especially for the elderly? What different programs are in place to support them?
You know, government has over time put in place programs. I think today we'll focus on the elderly, really,
right,
because but we have the Social Assistance Grant for Empowerment, our flagship program, the SAGE, which started in 2010. That time, the program was targeting older persons of 65 years and 60 years in Karamoja region because of the, you know, the uniqueness that it has. But over time, the program was started as a pilot in 15 districts, but it evolved. And as we speak, it is a national program covering all districts across the country, targeting older persons 80 years and above. The 80 years and above came up in financial year 2019-2020 because the demand was so high. The impacts of the program were so great. And so older persons in other districts where it had not reached, demanded that they also needed this assistance. So government, in its wisdom, decided to expand countrywide, but raise the age to 80 because of the financial implications. But at that time, government felt like as we go along and more resources are available, then the age would be reduced.
Interesting. As we speak right now, I can imagine those who are below the age of 80 and indeed need this care. Is there any other program at least they tag along to? Because 60, I think 60 is also ideal. When I think about 60-year-olds around me, some of them are extremely vulnerable. So are there programs that cater to lower ages, lower than 80? Yes,
you're very right. Now, as the eligibility age for SAGE now was put higher, now older persons, because the Constitution really highlights that an older person is any person who is 60 years and above. So, I mean, they are retired for those that have been able and lucky to be in employment. They have children or whose children have also been moved on and had their own families. So 60 years being the age where an older person begins, government felt that they also needed to be covered. So they started a program called the Social Enterprise Grant for Older Persons. Now that program targets the age bracket of 60 years to 79 years. Before now one transits to SAGE at 80, they have that program that covers them. But its uniqueness is that it offers monies, the grants, in groups. The older persons are supposed to be in groups of 5 to 10 to be able to access the grant. They receive a maximum of 5 million, and they are supposed to engage in a small-scale enterprise, really, a common enterprise that is agreeable to all of them. They receive the money as a group. They start implementing, and so far, really, we are getting good feedback that this program is yielding fruit. The older persons are happy. 60 to 79 are not yet very vulnerable. They are still a little bit energetic. If they decide to, for example, invest in poultry, invest in goat rearing, or even agriculture, they still have some energy to go about their business so that they improve their livelihoods.
Right.
There's also another program recently with partnership with World Food Programme and the Government of Ireland. We have started a program for the elderly refugees. Uganda is, what it means to have refugees in the country, and they are in such big numbers. So the older persons in refugee camps were really, really suffering. And given that we have now food rations going down, foreign aid reducing, so the partners felt that targeting the elderly refugees could also give them a sense of hope, a sense of survival. And so we have recently rolled out a program, the social cash transfers for elderly refugees. We just piloted it in Yumbe and Koboko. Last week we were in Yumbe to launch that program. It mirrors the SAGE program because the older persons also receive the same amount as SAGE, the 25,000 per month. It is delivered on a quarterly basis. And so we are hoping that the elderly refugees can also feel like they belong. They feel included. They are not left out.
Right.
Yeah, those are some of the key programs that we have.
Very interesting indeed. Now let's throw more light on the SAGE program. How exactly, aside from the age, but it takes some sort of research to know that someone is 80 years, how exactly are the beneficiaries identified?
So under the SAGE, we use the NIRA data. we always go to NERA and ask, so give us a list of persons who have turned 80 years. And this is where I want to appeal to our older persons to really take this opportunity when NERA is on ground doing the mass enrollment, mass registration and renewal of national IDs. For all those who have not yet registered for a national ID to do so, because without a national ID, we won't be able to pick that older person to be enrolled in the SAGE. So when we get that database from the NERA, we subject it to screening with the Ministry of Public Service to remove the pensioners, because the SAGE is basically for that older person who really has little chance, you know, has little income at their disposal. And so the pensioners at least are already getting something. So our focus is on that older person. So after the screening, then we go down to the local governments. We work with the district structures to deliver the grant. And so they help us to go down to the grassroots using the grassroots structures, the parish chiefs, the LC, structure to identify and verify and confirm that these older persons are already they are there, they have not relocated, they are still alive. And after getting that confirmation, now we work with a payment service provider. Right now we are working with Centenary Bank.
Right.
So we go with Centenary Bank to the ground to now capture the biometrics, to capture pictures and details of the other verified older persons. And we get them enrolled into the grant. They have bank accounts opened in their names, and immediately they start receiving the SAGE grant.
Right. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the challenges of locating these older persons, especially those in remote areas. What are some of those challenges?
You know, by nature of old age, we get issues where the children, like me and you, decide to now relocate your mother from the village home to Kampala, probably to provide them with better care, you know, better health services. So we get from a point, over time, we keep getting those relocations, but then the program still has a mechanism to fix that. Because now, wherever you are as an older person, whether you relocate or you even relocate after being enrolled, you will be able to receive the grant wherever you are. So the starting point really should be making sure that you're registered with NERA, making sure that you're enrolled onto the program, and wherever you will be across the country, you will get to receive your monies.
Right.
Another issue is, by nature again, people are frail, older persons are sickly, so you find that most of them are in their homes. They are not able to reach our pay points or centers where we are registering from. But with the help of the local government structure that I have told you about, which we work with, they are able to alert us so that we even reach out to those who are in hospitals, they are bedridden, but we get to enroll them at their sick bed or even pay them from the hospital. But after we have been notified. Right. So the challenge there is that in case we are not notified in time as a team, as a paying team, then we delay to reach that person. But the beauty is that even when they don't access the payment at a point when we are in the locality, they are able to receive their payment later when we go back at another time, because their money is on their bank account anyway, and nobody accesses it other than that very beneficiary. Interesting.
Yes. In fact, I wanted to ask you on the way, the mode under which they receive this money. Do they receive the cash as a handout, or do they receive it via electronic measures? How exactly do they receive it?
Well, the older persons receive this money in cash. It's a direct cash transfer. That's why we go down to the villages to look for them and pay them their money. And they are the ones who withdraw it on themselves, themselves. But also, they have an option for those that are frail and weak. We give them the liberty to choose an alternative beneficiary who can be able to now, who is able to move to our locations and pick this money on their behalf. But we get issues where older persons really have very few people they trust.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's because of old age or, you know, when we grow, we get old and toned.
Right.
Yeah, but they have that, the program gives that flexibility. They have that liberty to choose any other alternative person who can receive the money on their behalf. Yes.
One thing I understand for sure, though, is older persons usually have those small button phones, you know,
Yes.
that kabiditi, that kapesa.
Yes.
Don't you think it would be easier for them to actually receive that message of you have received?
Thank you for that. Thank you. Actually, we tried that mode also.
Right.
When this program started, we used the electronic method. We used MTN, you know, and older persons would get their money on phone. They had to use a PIN, you know, to access the money. But it was so interesting that most of them would forget the PIN. And if the telecom company sets a uniform PIN, then that means that the person next to the older person really is likely to even withdraw the money without their knowledge.
Right.
So we realized most of them were actually complaining. We don't know whether the money has come. We haven't received our money, yet the money had been sent to their phones. So eventually, that's when now we evolved to now taking the money directly to them so that they don't lose it out. Right,
very interesting. We are having a conversation with the Ministry of Gender and Labor, and in particular we're looking at the SAGE program for the elderly. That is one that caters for the elderly people in Uganda. And if you want to be a part of the show, 0709602592. Now, site. How has this program benefited? What observations have you made as a ministry when it comes to those who have benefited from this program?
You know, it's very interesting. Whenever I start talking about the impacts that the SAGE program has had in the lives of the elderly, it is so amazing. We have been in the field, we've documented these stories, stories told by the beneficiaries themselves. Most of them have been able to really pull off from the low levels of poverty to, you know, a life that is dignified. They feel greater self-esteem because they are able to socialize with each other. They're able to contribute to social events, you know, those weddings for their children, funerals, those small social things, social events, they are able to contribute. Many others also have got shelters out of the SAGE money. They have been able to build houses. Just last week we were in Yumbe district. I told you we are launching the program for the elderly refugees. And we visited an older person who has moved from a grass-thatched structure to a permanent home. It was so amazing. And we were with the Honorable Jidudu, the Minister of State for the Elderly. We were with our Permanent Secretary, Dr. Agre David Chibenge. And it was so amazing to see this elderly saying, I have used the SAGE money to build this house.
So that means, you know, yes, this person was probably saving the money along the way.
Yes, because he said he has been benefiting from the SAGE for the last 10 years. So, you know, among other things, really he had a house to show. But he had other things. He has animals. You know, he said his grandchildren are going to school. We visited another older woman who has invested in goats, in goat rearing, and because of her space, she really has a small space, she could not afford to keep all of them in one place and decided to give them to her daughter who lives in the neighborhood. So she rears goats. She has over 15 goats now, and many other great impacts. Many of them have been able to access health services. You hear them saying, I was waiting for SAGE money to go to hospital and access medical services. Others have educated their grandchildren. they're able to afford scholastic materials and all that. So there's a lot to talk about stage.
Do they are they taken through some form of financial literacy? Well, because I'm trying to put together how one individual can actually benefit from their 25,000 per month, and another actually does not. One would justifiably say that 25,000 per month is not enough for me to end up having a house that is not a grass-thatched house. 25,000 is not enough for me to end up having a goat.
Yes.
You know, get rare goats out of 25,000. But as you've rightfully said, there are those achievements that you've seen for yourself. Do you take them through some form of financial literacy or?
Yes, we do. You know, this money is non-conditional. We don't condition them to say, you've got this money, use it for this. No. They are at liberty to choose what to use the money for. But just before we pay, at the pay point, we have a prepayment address. It's done by the Ministry of Gender officials, teams on ground. It's done by the bank that is going to pay, and also the district leadership that we work with. They are able to take these older persons through the options where they can invest their money. And actually, most of them, we've seen some of them who have left their money on the account to accumulate because they have a goal.
Right.
You know, they are looking at achieving something. So they say, if we withdraw this money, we're going to eat it, and I won't achieve what I want to achieve. So they leave it on account, and it accumulates. It keeps adding. Before you know it, they have 1 million, they have 2 million. By the time they withdraw money, they have a lot to do with it. So we give them some tips, bits and pieces, financial literacy, small things, because you know you can't still keep them for long at that pay point. So whatever we tell them, we've seen it work. Many of them come back and say, yes, you told us we could invest. I started with 1 goat. Actually, the goat gave birth. We were in Bukedea another time with members of parliament. Pictures are available. You know, they were so amazed. This older person started with 1 goat. By the time we reached her, she had 7, and she had only received the grant for like 3 years. And she was saying, yes, I want to even, at a point I plan to sell these goats, add on the grant that I am expecting, and be able to buy a cow, because I need some milk later on to improve my nutrition, to improve my health. So you see, with this SAGE grant, the hope that the older persons have got out of this money, it gives them to, you know, to think beyond their old age, to know that, yes, I still have a life, I can do a lot more with this money, I still can support my grandchildren who I stay with, and that's how we are seeing great impacts through the SAGE. Yeah.
And in case you are just joining in, we are looking at social protection programs for the elderly in Uganda. That is under the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And in studio is Site Akatkunda, who is the Communication and Advocacy Officer, the SAGE program. Now, let's look at other stakeholders. Are there other stakeholders like NGOs that the government is working with to ensure the success of this program?
Yes, there are many NGOs actually doing elderly care. Many of them are doing social care and support services for the elderly. You know, some of them have homes where they give hope to these older persons. Government hasn't really invested so much in care homes for the elderly, because we believe that an older person should be able to grow within the family circle, where they are not isolated, where they feel they belong. They get that sense of, you know, unity with their family. They have stories from their grandchildren. And so that's social fabric from the family setup that we have in our country. Really, we feel it's the first point of hope for the elderly. But there are other, you know, partners that we work with that are doing care and support for the elderly, but also we have development partners who have come to, you know, partner with us, provide funding, provide technical support to ensure that these programs are improved the systems have improved. We are working with World Food Program to improve the delivery systems. You know, we need data that is authentic, you know, so they've given us a lot of support in that regard to ensure that our data is safe, our data is authentic, and so there's a whole range of partnership that we work with in this program.
Speaking of partnerships, what do you think the public can, what role do you think the public can play to make this whole program a success, whether knowingly or unknowingly, but an ordinary human being who has a neighbor, who's an elderly, a family member, what role do you think they can play?
I think it starts from us as individuals. You see, these older persons have done a lot in our lives, whether they are our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents. They have this wisdom that they impact to us. So as people, as individuals, really, we should be able to start from there, start from the family level, and care for this person. You know, even us as we are here in the city and others are wherever they are not in the houses with their parents or grandparents. Find time, do the small things. Pick a phone, give them a phone call, chat them up, you know, provide some basics for them, give them some sense of hope, and also to ensure that the programs that are in place, you give these elderly information. For us who are educated, the older person may not know that there is NIRA in the neighborhood registering, you know, there is SAGE program paying. So be able to provide that care and support, provide that information. Keep telling them, you can do this, you can do that. For those that receive the SAGE money, we can be able to encourage them to invest this money, invest the money. But also, most importantly, I think we should be able to supplement on what the SAGE is already providing as individuals. Can we get a small piece of what we earn or what we are able to get and provide care, provide an input into their health and nutrition? Many a times we've seen children, grandchildren isolate themselves from families. They take long to make a phone call. They take long to visit their homes and checking on their grandparents. I think it's high time we came back to that, you know, old days.
Right.
Care for them, visit them, call them, provide anything that you can to improve their livelihoods.
Right. Now, let's look at 1st October, the Older Persons Day is coming up.
Yes.
What has been lined up?
A lot. First of all, we'll have the day in Jinja.
Right.
We are expecting His Excellency the President to be our chief guest. You know, this is an annual event. Every 1st October, we usually converge, and it is regionally organized. Last year, we were in Masaka, Central Region. The previous year, we were in Chegegwa, which is in the west. So this time, we are in the east. We will be in Jinja City. We have a whole range of things for older persons. First of all, we will have a SAGE pay point at the Older Persons Day. The older persons in Jinja, a selected sub-county, will receive their money. We have partners who have come to join us to bring gifts for the elderly. You know, we are going to have a lot of items, a lot of giftings for the elderly. But also we are working with Jinja Referral Hospital to ensure that we have a health camp a day before the event. So we'll have about 2 to 3 days offering health services for the elderly at no cost. We have a lot of things to do. We will have dances and entertainment.
Right.
You know, older persons usually dance on that day because they are so excited. It's their day. We'll have lots of exhibitions. The elderly will be showcasing what they have done with the grants they receive. So it's a whole lineup of activities.
Right.
1st October, Jinja City.
Right. Does that mean that, is this focusing on the elders in Jinja City alone, or someone can travel from
yes.
as far as Karamoja or Gulu?
Yes,
all the way to Jinja?
It's a countrywide thing. It's an international day, so
right.
to say, for older persons. So older persons, wherever you are, if you're able to move or your council is able to transport you, we usually have many older persons from other districts join us, you know, and tell us what they are doing. We'll also have a symposium actually the day before. We have an older persons council, a national council for older persons, which brings together all the councillors of older persons at all levels, at grassroots level, to come and share their experiences, share their challenges, and together we'll find solutions and move forward.
Right. Thank you so much. That is Site Akatkunda, who is the Communication and Advocacy Officer for the SAGE program at the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And one thing I would ask you from your experience working in this field, what's that one thing you feel you would change or you should change?
I think if I had the power and I had the resources, I would reduce the age for SAGE so that we have a bigger number of older persons benefiting from the program.
Right.
Because it's working, but because of resources, government is not yet able to reduce the age, but the proposal has already been, you know, agreed to by Parliament. We're waiting for Cabinet to pronounce themselves on the reduction of age. But if I had the money in this world, really, I would give it to the elderly, because they are still able to use it to their best.
Right.
Yes.
That's passion right there. Thank you so much, Site, for visiting us. And let me just reiterate this, that the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, in partnership with local governments and Centenary Bank, informs the public that residual enrollment of targeted older persons and senior citizens grant payments for existing beneficiaries started yesterday, Monday, and it was in Luka, Jinja City, Kumi, Bunyangabu, Amuru, Uganda Municipality, Shema, Isinjiron, PG, Butambala, Kapchora, and Tungamo Municipality, Chegegwa, Kole, Kabong, Gulu, Serere, and today we'll be at Bududa, tomorrow we'll be at Terego, Thursday we'll be at Uganda, Lira City, Arua City, and Friday we'll end up at Mayuge. Maybe for people of Kampala City, KCCA, Wachiso, Mukono, they will wait for us next month, October. This month we started with the outside districts, but we'll come to you, we will reach you. Right, very important piece of information there. Thank you so much, Site, and thank you so much for being on the show. That brings us to the end of our conversation in the agenda. Up next is GMU Sports with Ruben. But before I leave, let me send a shout out, a birthday shout out to GMU family member who always visits the show, and that is Paul K. Kaboneka Paul, who always visits GMU Friday edition. Happy birthday to you, and thank you for serving the Lord. From me to you, be blessed. Let's do this again tomorrow. Good morning.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story